Stampin' Friends, it's Sandy McIver here from Stampin'withSandy.com. I'm a Canadian Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I have another Brusho card to share with you today. This time we're going to do the dry splatter technique, which is this in the background, and I'm also going to do it on the flower, but then I'm going to show you how you can use your aqua painter and move it around a little bit to fill in some of the design, but maybe leave some of the beautiful crystals so that you get this really cool effect on the card. So what we're playing with today, just a quick overview. Beautiful day stamp set from Stampin' Up! And I have heat embossed that in gold. The sentiments are from the Celebration set Amazing You, and there is a die cut overlay with the Celebration set Celebrate You thinlits. Okay, that's where all that came from. I have two pieces of watercolor paper. I have them taped down. I use my leftover washi tape, my retired stuff, to tape it down to something strong to hold onto, and it is fairly waterproof. I know that if you go to the dollar store, you can get these in plastic now, these clipboards, which would be perfect. I have another piece of paper towel underneath and then a craft mat underneath that to protect my work surface because we're going to be getting things wet. You need a couple of Stampin' Spritzers with water in them, and like I said, I've got quite a few aqua painters. I also have a little tray in which I can dump wet things into. I think that is really something that you need when you're playing with this, along with a lot of paper towel because you never know when you're going to be needing to pick something up. So the Stampin' Up! Brusho comes in a 5-pack, but we're only going to be playing with 2 of the colors today. There's a gamboge, there's a brilliant red, there's a moss green, there's a Russian blue, and there's a yellow. We're going to be playing with the Russian blue and yellow today. And of course, you know if you look at a color wheel that yellow and blue makes green. So you get this kind of cool green going on in the middle here when the two blend together. So I'm just going to set the rest of those aside. And there's quite a few different techniques that you can do with Brusho. It's been around for a while, probably about 35 years. It was created in England, and Stampin' Up! Has just started carrying it. So we have our 5 colors to start with, and we're going to do the dry splatter technique today. So I've got 3 holes, 3 small holes in the top of each of mine, and then one little bit larger hole, and I use that as my air hole to kind of move the powder around. And I'm going to start by sprinkling some on, and that's my blue at the bottom. Put my pin back in. And I am going to put some yellow at the top. Now, Brusho, what it is it's highly pigmented watercolor crystals. It's activated by moisture, in most cases water, and they're very, very vivid, but you can tone them down simply by the amount of crystals that you put on your project. So if you want a really nice dull effect, then don't put too many on. If you want it really, really dark, then pile it on. So then you're going to take your spritzer and you're going to add water. And if you get too close, you're going to move all the crystals around. So stand back a little bit and let it rip. And there's the background. It's just a simple splatter background. Isn't it cool? And you see how it's changing colors? Awesome. So once you get it the way you want, and I decided that I'm going to do this one a little bit lighter just to show you the difference between the two, you can use your heat tool to dry this off, and I'm just going to let it sit there until we finish our flowers. So now I'm going to cover that, and I'm going to protect that one while we play with the flower. So this one, you can go a couple of ways. We're going to do kind of the same technique, but I'm going to wet it first. So it's going to be the wet application. And because I'm going to be cutting this flower out, I don't need to worry about staying inside the lines. So just add some water. You can spritz it on if you want, or use your aqua painter. And here is what I did. I started with the yellow, and I put some of that in the center. And then I took my blue. I want to show you something to do with the leaf, so I'm just going to cover my leaf. I like to have a few little things around that I can use as masks. Okay, so you see that this is activated already. So I can leave it and let those crystals just kind of go crazy the way they want to, and I am going to do that on some of them. But on some of them, you can also add a little bit more water, and you can move the paint around. Ooh, see how dark it gets? It gets very intense. Now, if you want to lighten that up, just put a piece of paper towel over it, and it will wick out some of the crystal for you. Isn't this cool? I could play with this for hours. Oh wait, I have. I can move this now. Okay, so I'm kind of liking on my card here, see how I got this in here? Well, that's because I added more of the yellow. And if you want, you can get a little bit more intense. And you can add some of that Gamboge, which has a little bit of orange pigment in it. And you can also spritz it a little bit just to get everything going. Oh, look at that. Okay, so I've got my blue going on here. I am just going to add a little bit of water just to get this going. There we go. And you can tap it around. I'm kind of liking that. It's very cool. Okay, we've got a couple of spots that we just need to add some color to. This one's too dark, so I'm going to take some out. This one's a little dark too. Now you see how you can manipulate it? And you can pick it up with your aqua painter too as well. So there's quite a few different ways you can play with this stuff. Okay, so if I want it to stay the way it is, to stop it from activating further, just put your paper towel down, give it a good rub, and I'm going to heat set it again. Okay, so this is pretty much dry, but what I wanted to show you is I want a green. And so I'm going to take my yellow, and you can do this on any plastic surface, putting some yellow down, and I'm going to add just a titch of blue and some water. Mess that around, and you end up with a beautiful green, which I can do my leaf. And if you want it more intense than that, you can add deeper color. I kind of like that. But it is going to lighten when I wick out some of the water. So now we've created all our pieces, we are ready to put our card together. I have cut out my pretty little flower, and I just wanted to show you, you end up with a little bit of a ridge when you tape things down. So I always make them bigger than I need them. It was 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 is what this piece is, but I need 3 7/8 by 5 1/8 for my card. So I can simply pop it into my cutter, making sure, here we go. So it takes a little bit of finagling, and you got to hold your watercolor paper quite firmly in place. There we go. And I'm just going to trim this end right at the edge here. Oops, that's a scoring tip. It doesn't cut very well. And 5 1/8 down here. All right. So let me get rid of this. So my finished card front is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. I'm going to place that on a basic black mat that is 4 by 5 1/4. And this is watercolor paper, and I have gotten it wet, so you need something strong. My preference is Fast Fuse, and it goes on here like butter. So I am just going to hopefully center this. There we go. Turn it over and give it a real good rub. Add another layer. And my card base is thick Whisper White. It's 4 1/4 by 11, and I scored and folded it at 5 1/2. I'm going to try and just touch the edges because I'm sure that I have brush out on my fingers. There we go. Again, I'm going to turn it over and give it a good rub. There we are. So then we can add some dimensionals to the back of the flower. And I found that offsetting it a little bit and just having the leaf hang out to the edge added some visual interest. There we are. And now I have got my die cuts, and I've already done my die cutting. And then I took this little guy, and these are just the single stamps from the stamp set. So the U are Simply, and I white heat emboss them onto a scrap of black. So then I can just do this. And I can make these whatever size I want, which is fun. So I like that one. So Amazing is going to go here. So then the U is going to go up top. And R Simply. This is a great way to use up your little scraps of black too. I saved them in a little bin. So there we are. So now I can just turn over my Amazing, and I can add a little bit of multi-purpose glue, and I just use the tip to smear it around a little bit. That way you don't have it oozing out when you go to put it on your card. And this is kind of forgiving because it doesn't grab right away. You have a couple of seconds that you can maneuver it around to get it straight on your art piece. Something I do love about it, because I have a tendency to put things on crooked. I blame it on my bifocals, but hey, it's probably more of not paying attention. But I'm still going to blame it on my bifocals. Alright, so grab this little guy and put Amazing down. Just like that. Don't you love the swirl in this? That font is just crazy awesome. And then a little bit of glue. You could also use glue dots if you want. I happen to have this out, so I'm going to use it. And I kind of like that you can put these on crooked if you want. I think it adds, because there's no control over the background, it kind of went wherever it wanted to. So did my sentiment. So there you go. There's the two cards side by side, and this shows you really well that if you use more crystals, you're going to get a deeper color, and if you use lighter crystals and or more water, then you're going to get a softer, subtle effect. And depending on where you put your crystals and how you move them around and the intensity, you're going to get different colors of flowers. For these ones, I actually let the water dry. I didn't wick it up and I didn't dry it with my heat tool. I left it overnight, and when I came down in the morning, I had this little beauty sitting there. So sometimes it's just kind of fun to let it sit and let the crystals do whatever the heck they feel like. Anyway, whoops, sorry, it's out of focus. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the video, and happy brush show, and load your stuff to our Facebook page. I'd love to see what you're making. StampinWithSandy.com on Facebook, my business page. There's a little fun thing over there where you can add your pictures. So thanks so much for stopping in. If you live in Canada and you need the supplies, the link is underneath the video. Thank you so much. Bye now.